Yesterday was Disney Plus Day, and for that event, they released Home Sweet Home Alone. And now that we have 6 Home Alone movies, it's time to rank all of them from worst to best, tier list style. Let's start with the original Home Alone movie from 1990. This is going into the masterpiece tier. I know last year I said that it wasn't my favorite Home Alone movie and my favorite Christmas movie, but my opinion has changed since then, and I think that it is the best Christmas movie out there. It mixes the Christmas spirit with slapstick comedy so well, and it is one of my favorite movies ever. In fact, it is my second favorite movie as of now, and of course I'm going to rewatch it this December. I also think that it has a lot of very metaphorical messages about family that are very well done, and I love that about this type of comedy. When you can watch a movie every single year and still laugh, then you know that it is an amazing movie, and this is just one of the best movies of all time, in my opinion. Next, we have Home Alone 2. This is going into the great tier. I used to like this one more than the first, but then after rewatching them last year, I know I still put Home Alone 2 at the top in my ranking last year, but now I think that it is just slightly worse than the original because I don't like the middle and first act as much as I do the first. Yes, the third act and traps are actually more enjoyable in this one, even though they're much more painful, but it's more fun to watch. And I also like that this movie isn't just completely copy and paste from the original, because you would think that maybe they would just leave him at the house again and the same robbers come, but no, he takes the wrong flight and goes all the way to New York, which I think is a very good idea, and it worked pretty well in this movie. I don't think that the bird lady is as good as the man that was in the first for the person that Kevin was scared of, but she's still very good, and I like her character quite a bit. There are many things about this movie that I absolutely love, but it isn't a masterpiece in my opinion, so it's going into the great tier. Then we have Home Alone 3, which is going into the decent tier. I used to absolutely hate this movie for not having Kevin and most of the writing being horrible, but last year when I rewatched it, I actually liked it quite a bit. It's not amazing by any means, but I think that it's a decent movie. The new kid isn't quite as good as Kevin, but the actor that portrays him is still pretty good, and the character is very cute. I like some of the lines that he has in this movie, but once again, the writing in this movie is just dreadful. I don't know why they had to have this organization have a microchip or something in this toy car. It just didn't work for a Home Alone movie, and I think that it was just too much for this franchise. The robbers, unlike Marvin and Harry, are unlikable, and I didn't like any of them. The traps in this are pretty good, but most of them feel repetitive and not as good as the ones in the original 2 films. So for that, it's just a decent movie that I have fun with, but it's not amazing at all. Then I have Home Alone 4. This is going in the awful tier. This is just a horrible movie in every single way, and I do not like anything about it at all. It's one of my least favorite movies of all time, unlike the original, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know how they could mess up this movie so much, but the plot is just dreadful. It's about how Kevin's actual dad, the dad that was in the original, wants a divorce with his wife so he can have a younger lady that's rich. It just doesn't make any sense to me why they would do this for a Home Alone movie. And the traps are absolutely horrible. The third act is horrendous. And the robbers in this, some of the worst characters I've ever seen on screen. French Stewart is the worst actor that could be playing Marv. And the fact that he got a wife, I just hate so much about this movie that I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's just absolutely dreadful. Then we have Home Alone, The Holiday Heist, which is also going to go in the awful tier, but it is above Home Alone 4. I think that it is a really, really bad movie, but there were a couple funny lines in this that helped me not hate it as much as I do the fourth movie. The kid, like in Home Alone 4, isn't very good, and the traps were really bad. But there were some pretty funny moments that once again makes me not hate it as much as the fourth. And then we have the new film Home Sweet Home Alone, which is actually gonna go into the top of the decent tier because I had a really fun time with it. Yes, the dialogue is really bad. The man robber always says these modern lines that he thinks kids say, even though they don't say it at all, such as the words lit and gen pop. And it just came off as very cringy sometimes. And the writing is not good and feels very, very rushed. They don't even have much setup for Max to hate his family. He just kind of does it for no reason and then goes in the car and they forget about him. And then they barely show the mom trying to get back to the kids, so whenever it cuts back to her, it feels very rushed and unnecessary, and I hated those moments of the film. But I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I laughed out loud many times for some of the traps. There was a certain trap that I thought was absolutely hilarious, and even if this movie really, really sucks, it's a very fun Christmas movie, and I had such a good time with it. Archie Yates as Max is very good, not quite as good as Macaulay Culkin as Kevin, but he's way better than the kids in Home Alone 5 and 4. I also liked how they made the robbers not just breaking into Max's house just for the sake of breaking in, but they actually had a reason to be doing that to get something valuable that they had back because they were almost broke because the man robber lost his job. So I think that it was a good setup for the movie, but it didn't really pay off as well as the plotline with Marv and Harry in the original Home Alone movies. It was very fun seeing Buzz come back as a police officer in this. I thought that that was a good touch to this movie. I just wish that he was in it more, so it would have made a little bit more sense to have him in it. It would have been awesome to see Macaulay Culkin make a cameo in this as Kevin. Sadly, that didn't happen, but it was still okay, and I would actually give this movie a solid 6.5 out of 10. So that's my tier list of the Home Alone movies. At number 1, we have the original Home Alone. At number 2, we have Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. At number 3, Home Sweet Home Alone. Number 4, Home Alone 3. Number 5, Home Alone The Holiday Heist. And number 6, Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House. I really love some of these movies, but I really hate some of them too. So this is a franchise I'm kind of just split down the middle on. Tell me your ranking of the Home Alone movies down in the comment section, but until then, stay tuned and subscribe to Cinema Ranks.